All right, so protein metabolism. Okay, so to get fuel from proteins, we have to oxidate amino acids. Okay, so in the oxidation of amino acids, the amino acid has to be deaminated. So if you remember, an amino acid, just a plain amino acid, just a generic amino acid looks like this. It has a nitrogen group, it's connected to a central carbon. So this is the amine group. And then on the other side, it's connected to another group, which is an acid. And then there's something attached to it we call the R group, which makes it whatever amino acid that it is. So this is some kind of carbony, blah, blah, whatever, that makes it tyrosine or makes it glutamate or whatever it is. So when a protein, which is basically a strand of these things, right? A strand of amino acids. So when we break them down into their separate amino acids and they are processed or oxidized for ATP, this part here, the amine group, has to be removed. Okay? So that process occurs it starts through a process called transamination. So, getting a hard time with my colors. So transamination. So in transamination, basically an amine group from an amino acid is switched onto a keto acid. Okay, so if we have an amino acid, so here's our amino acid, we're going to react it with a keto acid. So this keto acid is called alpha ketoglutarate. Glutarate. We could call it alpha ketogluteric acid, either one. So if that sounds familiar, it should. That's one of the constituents within the citric acid cycle. Okay? So we add those together and we get a keto acid plus an amino acid, and the amino acid is glutaric acid. Okay, so we've basically just taken the nitrogen component, the NH2, this part here, of this amino acid, and we've transferred it to here. And that gave us, this became this, a keto acid, which is a molecule without NH3 or NH2, and it was transferred over to this to make glutaric acid. So that happens in transamination, transferring the amine group to the keto acid. All right, once that's done, or once that happens, this keto acid basically is modified into different constituents of the Krebs cycle, or the citric acid cycle, so that it can enter the citric acid cycle. So it can be converted to pyruvate, then it can be converted to acetyl-CoA, and so on, and enter. It can be turned into the alpha-ketoglutarate. It can be turned into, a couple of the different, constituents that are around the citric acid cycle, and then it can enter there into that cycle to either make ATP or to make, ketones or whatever. All right, so it is modified to enter the citric acid cycle. Okay. All right, the glutaric acid then goes through another process called oxidative deamination. So it will go through So in transamination, where we transferred that amine group over to a keto acid, now we're going to actually get rid of that that nitrogen component. Okay, so in oxidative deamination, the nitrogen is removed as ammonia. So it's removed as NH3 is removed. And NH3 is ammonia, which is really toxic to the body. So since NH3 is removed, and in that process, a carbon dioxide is released. Okay, so NH3 is a toxic substance for us. So what happens to it? So the NH3 then goes down and is made into, or released as, urea. So it's made into urea to the kidney and released in the urine. Okay. So what's left is, so we got rid of that NH3 off of this glutaric acid, and what we have left then, the NH3 goes to make urea, and the rest of the molecule then becomes a keto acid, or alpha ketoglutarate again. So once that happens, then it can enter this process again with another amino acid. And the same thing can occur again to metabolize the amino acid. Because once you get to this, where you have this keto acid here, now you can modify it and it can enter any part of the Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle, and eventually you'll get electrons, and you go to the electron transport chain, and you get energy. All right, so that's about it with the protein metabolism. Again, remember, proteins aren't stored at all. You eat protein, your body makes proteins, it makes what it has to, uses what it needs to for energy, and then anything left over is converted to glucose or fats.